OceanGate's Titan submarine began its journey from St. John Port, Canada. The location where the submarine was supposed to dive into the ocean was situated approximately 700 kilometers away from St. John in the North Atlantic Ocean. At the same location, beneath the cold waters of the ocean, lies the wreckage of the Titanic resting deep on the ocean floor. This journey began on Saturday, 17th June 2023. According to the plan, the Titan submarine was scheduled to be launched at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. It is important to mention here that a problem was detected in Titan before the dive. Despite this, and despite putting their lives at risk, the decision was made to lower the submarine into the ocean. So the question is, what was the problem, and why was such a huge risk taken? Viewers, a total of 5 people were on this expedition. Among them was Hamish Harding, the founder of Ocean Aviation, who had previously traveled to space alongside Jeff Bezos. The second person was Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate, an American company that provides submarines for ocean tourism. The third passenger was 77-year-old Paul Henry, who had already visited the Titanic wreck before and was a renowned shipwreck expert with deep knowledge of the damaged sections of the Titanic. And finally, Pakistani business tycoon Shahzada Dawood, along with his son Suleiman Dawood, were also part of the same submarine. Before the dive on the 17th of June, Hamish Harding shared his final post on the internet. He wrote that the dive had been delayed due to extremely cold weather and that they would dive the next morning when conditions improved. All 5 individuals were heading toward the famous Titanic wreck to fulfill a lifelong passion. In 1912, efforts to locate the Titanic continued for many years. However, due to the harsh conditions of the Atlantic Ocean, this task proved extremely difficult. Finally, in 1985, the wreckage of RMS Titanic was discovered on the ocean floor. Titanic had left behind many unanswered questions, and now it was time to search for those answers. Dozens of expeditions were organized in which experts and researchers from different countries visited the Titanic wreck. Canadian filmmaker James Cameron made dozens of dives to the Titanic wreck in 1995, and later, in 1997, the movie Titanic was released. The film's success completed what was still missing. It created such a massive sensation that visiting the Titanic wreck became a dream for millions of people around the world. This meant that the mission was no longer limited to research alone, as tourists also began traveling to the Titanic wreck site. It is often said that going to the depths of the ocean is even more challenging than traveling to space. The biggest reason for this is the immense pressure of water. The Titanic wreck lies about 4,000 meters or 4 kilometers below sea level. To imagine this depth, look at the Burj Khalifa and understand that the Titanic wreck lies about 5 times deeper than its height beneath the ocean. At this depth, the water pressure is approximately 5,800 psi. This pressure is equivalent to placing the weight of an entire elephant on just 1 square inch. Now imagine how many square inches there are on a submarine, and how much pressure is being exerted on it. Now, on Sunday, the 18th of June 2023, at 12 noon, the submarine's descent officially began. Normally, it takes about 2 hours to reach the Titanic wreck. However, after 1 hour and 45 minutes, the support vessel Polar Prince, positioned above, lost contact with the submarine. If it usually takes 2 hours to reach the Titanic, losing contact just 15 minutes earlier suggested that the submarine had already come very close to the wreck. At this depth of the ocean, it is impossible for sunlight to reach, which is why there is complete and permanent darkness. Losing wireless communication at such depths is considered normal, which is why the situation was not taken too seriously at first. The total planned duration of the trip was 7 hours. The submarine was expected to return by 7 p.m. However, when there was still no contact by 7 p.m. and Titan did not return, the crew aboard the Polar Prince became anxious. The Canadian research vessel Polar Prince immediately began searching for Titan. At 9:40 p.m., they contacted the United States Coast Guard and requested assistance. The following day, Monday, ships and aircraft from the United States and Canada launched a full-scale search operation. The search was conducted not only on the surface, but also underwater using sonar scanning. Commercial vessels in the area were also instructed to remain alert and keep watch. For the next 2 days, the search continued, but there was still no sign of Titan. Then, a glimmer of hope appeared. On Wednesday, the 21st of June, at 6 a.m., search teams detected certain sounds coming from deep underwater. These sounds were detected using underwater radar systems. ROVs were immediately sent toward the source of the sounds, but once again, there was no sign of Titan. Now, the fear of losing Titan forever grew stronger. This was because the submarine carried oxygen for only 96 hours, or 4 days. And by that time, 3 out of the 4 days had already passed. Despite this, search teams from the United States, Canada, and France did not give up. On Thursday, the 22nd of June, at 12 noon, ROVs were deployed toward the Titanic wreck. What they saw there was truly heartbreaking. At 3:48 p.m., an ROV that had reached the Titanic wreck spotted Titan's tail section, lying only 1,600 feet away from the Titanic. Those who went to see the Titanic's wreck had now become a wreck themselves, making headlines across the entire world. This clearly indicated that the submarine could not withstand the water pressure and had imploded in the depths of the ocean. This news shook the world. Serious questions were raised about OceanGate's safety standards. OceanGate's CEO Stockton Rush, who also lost his life in this incident, had stated in 2021 that he knew he had broken certain rules while building the Titan submarine. Instead of steel, Titan was built using aviation-grade carbon fiber. He claimed that he wanted to introduce innovation into the industry, which is why steel was replaced with carbon fiber. Before its first launch, Titan was tested at pressures between 5,000 and 10,000 psi, which it successfully passed. However, experts believe that a submarine is affected by thousands of forces inside the ocean, not just pressure, but also water flow created by ocean waves. Additionally, due to extreme darkness, it is also possible that a heavy rock or a sea creature may have collided with the submarine. Whatever the case may be, one major reason behind Titan's destruction was its carbon fiber hull. Another critical reason was the presence of pre-existing cracks in the structure. Yes, in 2019, the Titan submarine had also carried a businessman named Carl Stanley. At that time as well, the submarine was being operated by Stockton Rush himself. Carl Stanley later stated that while the submarine was descending, he heard cracking sounds coming from Titan's body.
One point, I was actually even able to drive the submarine towards deeper water by the sound of the cracking getting louder.
At that moment, he did not take the sound seriously because he had complete trust in OceanGate's CEO, who had designed the submarine himself. However, after the tragedy, he told CNN that the sound might have been a warning that Titan's structure could not withstand the water pressure. If this is true, then it clearly means that cracks had already begun forming in Titan's body. Back in 2018, an OceanGate executive had also raised concerns about Titan's carbon fiber construction. He stated that this flaw would only become apparent milliseconds before the submarine's implosion. And that is exactly what happened. According to experts, at the depth where Titan imploded, it would have taken only 0.3 seconds for the submarine to completely collapse. We hope you liked this video on Golden TV. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for your valuable comments.